afternoon, grade 6. I hope everyone enjoyed their lunch break. So before the break, we were talking about communication and how language is so important in communication. So before we continue our discussion, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Bunurong people, and pay my respects to the elders, both past and present. Okay, so previously we discussed the purpose of communication and methods of communication. I'd now like you to consider the skills that you think we need to communicate in our world today. Okay, excellent so far, grade 6s. We'll take 2 more suggestions. So, Lisa?
Using technology.
Yes. Generally, we do need to know how to use technology these days to communicate with our friends. And one more.
Speaking or conversation.
Okay, yes, so I'm using all these skills at the moment. I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm writing your ideas down, and you are able to read what I'm writing up there in order to comprehend your own learning. So I'll just write this final point down. Okay, so who can read that final point out to me?
It's in a different language.
So what you're saying is we need a shared understanding of the same language to communicate. So now I can see you're really grasping the connection between language and communication. I'd now like you to take 5 minutes to discuss all the languages that you know of or that you've heard of that exist within Australia. Excellent discussion, grade 6. I can really see contribution from everyone. That's fantastic. If we can bring it back in now, before we share our ideas, we're just going to watch a brief video on language within Australia. So looking back over your list, did anyone have an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander language written down? No, that's what the video suggests. Many people were unaware of the language loss experienced by Indigenous Australians when British invasion occurred. Okay, so from the video, who can tell me how many Indigenous languages still exist in Australia today?
250.
How many languages are in direct threat of extinction? That's more than half, I know, really shocking. What were some of the consequences of this language loss that were identified in the video? What did they discuss that surprised you in terms of language loss?
Their ideas were lost and part of the people associated with that language disappeared too. I think she meant part of their identity disappeared.
Yeah, it's really quite sad and devastating, isn't it? So we can see what has become of their culture and their language because of policies that have changed over the course of history. And why do you think many Indigenous children weren't allowed to speak their native language?
Maybe because in the olden days they wanted everyone to be the same, like when children used to get the cane for writing with their left hand.
Really interesting perspective, Tommy. I like the way you've thought that through, although we do have to be careful when making comparisons between experiences of Indigenous Australians, because we don't know what it's like to go through that loss of rights and policy reform. Do you think it's a fair policy? No? I agree. As we've learned, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people lived here before us, so I don't think it was fair of the British to say that the English language was the only acceptable form of communication. So we can begin to see from our discussion and from the video that we just viewed how language loss is just one example of how policy has impacted Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people over the course of history.